Hi, welcome back to the Jac and Glen channel. I'm Jackie.
I'm her husband, Glenn.
It's my husband, Glenn.
Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our interviews. Tonight we have on from Ready to Love DC, none other than Dante himself. What's up, sir? How you doing?
What's going on? How y'all doing? All is well over here. Everything is in divine order. So yes, everything's going well.
That's good, man. I know it's been a couple weeks since y'all season ended. I know things have been busy for you. So we, come here to interview. Just talk a little bit about Dante and about Ready to Love. So as we get started, like we always want to do, man, tell those who don't know Dante from, they seen you on Ready to Love. Who is Dante Smith?
So Dante Smith is a conscious being experiencing this reality through this shell, this body, this vessel we call life. I am from a small city, East Chicago, Indiana, born and raised. Family in Chicago. My mother and my dad migrated from Missouri and Alabama up to the industrial capital of the world, which is East Chicago, Gary. I know in the show it says Chicago, but I'm actually from East Chicago. And a lot of people never heard of East Chicago or automatically affiliated with Chicago, but it's actually Indiana. Growing up, I was a terror. As a baby, I was that kid that would definitely run. If my mom set me down, I'd run somewhere. If she went to sleep, I'm out the door somewhere, and the police is bringing me back. So I was always a curious young little being, wanting to know what was what, adventurous. Really enjoy life, just like this whole experience, and just want everyone else around me to have that same type of passion and zeal for life. Got into sports, which really kept me off of the streets, because I was one of those kids that was always getting into fights and running with a bad crowd. But once I got into sports and saw how good I was in it, feeling the footsteps of my brothers, which I have as far as the household I grew up in, mother and three brothers, two older brothers, Alfonso and Royce, and then there's me, the third, and then there's my younger brother Leroy, and then there's my father, Leroy Sr., and there's my stepmom, Ernestine Smith, and then I have a half sister, Sheree Franklin. So that's the family dynamic, and definitely everyone played a huge part in my development and growing up. There was big family. There's my mother's side. There's 15 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, that my grandmother had, just on my mother's side. So I have a huge family. And on my father's side, there was, I believe there was 6, but then there's my grandfather's side. I think there was another 5. So I have a lot of aunts and uncles, a huge family, and family orientation was just something that was always important to me growing up. Being at the family reunions, hanging out with my cousins. My dad would take us down to Alabama to spend weeks and summers down there with them, where I would go camping and fishing, and really started that process of me really enjoying being outdoors. I used to walk around Alabama, Bourneville, Hurstboard. It was about 15 minutes outside of Tuskegee. And there was Opelika, Eufaula, which is a lot of people affiliated with. And my sister's from Phoenix City, Alabama. And that sand used to get hot. And you had the red clay roads down there. Everybody down there know everybody. So when you pull up at nighttime, everybody know you there. It ain't no like you gotta make an announcement, make phone calls. They see you literally at night because it's so dark. They can see the lights. Oh, that's somebody at the house. They in town now. I used to walk around barefoot, hot sand, down in Alabama. Like I said, curious. Used to play in dirt hills. My uncle used to have to drive big dump trucks down there, which was a lot of perfection. A lot of my family members down there would drive dump trucks and deliver goods and dirt. So whenever they had a dirt dump truck, we would literally, as kids, play in the dirt. And then when we got too dirty, my grandmother told us not to play up in it. She put us in a tub outside, them old school tubs.
Steel tubs.
Them steel tubs, yes, and
Yeah.
hoses down outside in front of everybody. So, my dad was very instrumental in, me making sure that I had that Southern gentleman upbringing. And, at one point he wanted me to actually be raised by my grandmother and wanted me to come out the city to live down in Alabama. My mom, she wasn't having that though, but definitely cherished the experiences that I had. Growing up, I got into sports. Boys and Girls Club played a big part in my development as far as being competitive, knowing how to play different sports and games, different activities they would have, from art to ping pong, bumper pool. We used to sit around and play spades literally all day. And it was better sitting there and playing spades than being out somewhere on the street, on the corner somewhere, getting into trouble.
Now hold on, you play spades. Hold on. Now you in DC area now. You was in Chicago. Now do you play Joker, Joker, Deuce, Deuce, Joker, Joker? Because everybody plays spades a little bit different.
So we played Joker, Joker, Deuce.
Okay.
Joker, Joker. Yeah. So I know some places I go, someone like, you play what? Like Deuce, Joker. Well, hold up. So or some people would play with the 2 of hearts or the 2 of diamonds in there. So we
take those out. We
usually take them right out the pack. We don't even those go right into those extra cards. And if we need them, we'll draw a marker on them or something like that if you lose a card.
Right. Yeah, go ahead. So you're a spade player, man. So I like, that's what I'm saying. It sounds like, grandma growing upbringing, you spent a lot of time outside. You spent a lot of time enjoying each other and learning. Not only have you had the best, seem like you had the best for both worlds. You had city life and you had the country life. So you was able to maneuver and learn. How was you able to impact both of those in your life?
Like you said, you really appreciated, the fast city life. You talk fast, people talk slick. You got to keep up. You got to go with the flow. And then you have the country life. And when it's like, it's real slow, what cars is passing by, everybody waving to each other, and you got to be patient because in the city life is more like a microwave nation. Microwave. You used to get putting something in the microwave and you get it right in this. So in the city you can go right to the store, to the mall, everything's right there. In the country, it's about a 45-minute hour drive to the mall. So it taught me patience going down there. That's one thing I would say when you slow down and live in the country, and it taught you to actually appreciate the beauty of nature and the stars. You can actually look up and see all the stars at night and then see the constellations. So I used to go out and look at the constellations and, okay, what is that one? Oh, it's a shooting star over there. And then also be more in tune with the animals around you. Okay, down there was water moccasin snakes. So them snakes bite you. It's almost a wrap because the hospital's about 45 minutes away, and generally that poison got to you by the time. So one thing, my grandmother, which I learned how fearless this woman was, whenever she saw a snake crossing the road, she would literally run it over, get out the car, and stomp that thing to death. I mean, to complete death. And we used to be in the car all scared and terrified because there'd be a huge snake in the road. But because of her experiences with snakes and killing people that she had known and loved, it taught us, man, like, okay, if grandma can do it, I can do it. So it really, it taught me just to really appreciate just the beauty of nature, and also understand that the city life ain't everything. There is some purpose. There's a balance that you need to have. So even where I stay at now, I lived in Crystal City or Pentagon City before moving out here, and it was fast life, Whole Foods right across the street, the mall up the street. Everything was in walking distance. And then moving here, I kind of went through that same type of mode where I was like, man, it's quiet out here. I look outside, it's a deer in the yard. It's Fort Washington National Park. So I go hiking out there. I go meditating. So it really I like the balance of just, the city life and the nature. So it's taught me to just appreciate duality. Like there's a little bit of this you need to have, but you need to learn how to balance it. And that work-life balance, love life, personal life balance, it's a balance with life to everything that you have.
Absolutely.
You mentioned sports, so I'm gonna guess you look like a little football guy, you look like a little basketball guy. So which one did you excel
Football.
in? Okay.
Football. I could have excelled in basketball, but I didn't necessarily pursue it the way I pursued football. My older brothers, they played football. They got full scholarships to play in college. My older brother Royce was like the football star of the family. He got a parade All American, got a full scholarship to Wisconsin Badgers, played in the Hall of Fame, won the Hall of Fame Bowl, won the Rose Bowl, and he excelled. And him and my older brother Al, who went on to win, I think it was the RC Cola Bowl. I went as a kid, so watching them as a young man be in college and play football instilled in my subconscious, like, man, I can do this one day. Look at my brothers; they out here, they're playing these sports. So they taught me everything that I know as far as being tough and being competitive. So football was what I excelled in because that was the footprints that was laid before me to follow. And
That's
basketball, I played in the Boys and Girls Club. I didn't play high school, so basketball was definitely my sport. I played power forward and defense, and I had a little 3-point shot. It's funny, my younger cousin Darnell, he played uh, collegiate basketball. But this is one time where I could just ball him and just hoop, just take him to the cup and shoot number jump shots on him. And then he got bigger and I can't do nothing with him. I was like, yo, I can't do nothing with this dude. But just goes to show how even keel basketball is. And then also I was a track athlete. I went to state for running the 100-meter dash, ran 100, 200-meter, 4x1, 300 lows, and I threw the shot put. So we had a very small track team, so you had to do a whole bunch of different events. So yeah, I prided myself in being one of the fastest and just being tough overall. But football was the sport. I eventually went on to get a full scholarship to Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, and played there. Ended up tearing my ACL, MCL, ACL after my redshirt year, and I played and started, and then I think we played Boston College. I tore more of my meniscus, and I finished up maybe another year or two that I could on my knee, and then the pain, the bone to bone, I had to have another surgery, and then it was like, you might want to hang it up because the injury you got is what pro football players retire from. So you want to be able to play with your kids and your grandkids when you get older. You might want to just start considering what you want to do with the rest of your life. So that hit home for me because I was like, man, like I saw myself playing football, going pro. I ran a 4.4 40, had a 41-inch vertical jump. As a redshirt freshman, I was like the third or fourth strongest individual on the team as far as the strength index that we did. So I thought, naturally I was going to go pro. And when that happened, it was like, all right, what is life going to look like after college for Dante? Because he's not going to be playing football, and you're going to be entering the real world, and mom and dad is not going to be there to bail you out, and you need to be independent. Plus, I prided myself on not calling mom and not calling dad like, Dad, I need some money, I need this, because I was just being a prideful individual. I'm not going to do that. So that was my college days, and I pledged in the fraternity Alpha Phi Alpha Incorporated. Spring 03, 7. So that helped me understand about networking, brotherhood, community service to others, and really just understanding about what I have to offer to an organization. And that taught me. So when I move on to another organization, it's not what they can do for me, but what can I do for this organization? How am I going to contribute? What's going to be my legacy that I'm going to leave behind? So, and the individuals, my line brothers, and all the alphas that I met, even other fraternities too, because we are the same, but specifically in my chapter when I embarked on becoming an alpha, really taught me like, man, like life is real, and I got to be ready to be able to contribute and not have my hand out looking for a hookup or, but definitely we learn like you have to pave your own way and forge your own path. And it's good to have someone to be there to, lend out a hand and pick you up, but you got to come to the table with something. You can't just come open-handed, willing to freeload, so to speak, off of some networking experiences.
Oh, that's good to know. So this is what we didn't get to see, obviously, because it's not about that on Ready to Love.
Right.
And it makes me think about, and not to jump ahead too much, but it makes me think about that was one of the things that was key with you on the show. So when you meet people, how you say to them, okay, so I have 3 children by 3 different women, but you don't want them to get stuck there because there's all this, Dante, that you just talked to us about.
It's like an iceberg, right? You see an iceberg, and you see the top. Okay, then you see the basics, right? You see just the basic. You see the aesthetic. Okay, maybe he's handsome, maybe he's good looking. Oh, maybe you got a good job, but you got 3 kids. So then it's like, well, what's underneath that?
Right.
What are the stories? How does that make sense? Were you this? And so it did. For most people, we are used to or conditioned to believe that baby mama drama. There's some woman walking around, knock on the window. Who you got in there with the baby in the hand, with a bowling pin ready to beat you upside the head? Like, you better come get this baby, or you did me wrong. But it's there's so many different stories and so many different outcomes that not always is the common. So and I got far in life, and I have pretty good, relationships with people that I've met or people I've dated, because I understand that you have to, one, come to a table and say, this is me, this is what all I am, this is what I have, this is my experience. We can talk about, the different mothers and how that happened, and then you can take it or leave it, because I'm not one that's going to be like, well, let me trick you into this. No, if that's a red flag or that's a hard no for you, I totally understand it. And you go on. There's no personalization for that, because I wouldn't want to force someone to be in the world with me if they didn't want to, if they felt they had better options. So I would say, go ahead and take those options. But as far as me, those experiences that I've had from growing up to the 3 women, 3 kids have taught me a lot of wisdom, and also just wisdom that I've seeked on my own. And I went through like a whole thing with that. I mean, there was a time where I was ashamed of it. I went through a point in time where I was ashamed of it. Like, man, ain't no woman gonna want me. I'm gonna be lonely. I'm gonna be single forever. And it's like, I had to like literally get myself out that rut. Like, what? No, I got a lot to offer. I brought 3 beautiful kids in the world. Now, I could have had 3 abortions, and then we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But then again, where's the accountability for that might have been? If I had chose that route, then there are some things that I may or may not have dealt with. And so, and we get caught up as far as, lifestyle, and we think about that. So generally, for one woman see that, they wonder, well, how my lifestyle is going to be, or am I still going to be able to travel with this man? But, I don't force, a motherhood or a relationship with my kids onto a woman that I'm dating. So it's going to be like, they have a mom, and you're not coming in, and I'm not about to put you through this obstacle course. All right, wash the clothes, cook the dishes. Okay, all right. You did that about 5 minutes. Okay, good. Okay, you ready to be baby mom number 4? Like, we're not doing that.
No mommy Olympics.
Right. So, I understand that the decision that's made, but it for me it's a little different for males versus females. I don't necessarily, which is also, I think, a disadvantage for me, is I don't get to see my kids every single day in the house, growing up, watching, all that. So I get the glimpses of that, which I miss. But added advantage is that for dating, that a woman can actually come into my space and actually get to know me, and then when my kids can introduce them to them, at a later time. So it's not like a forced thing, but it's also like, this is me, like, this is my experiences, this is how I got here. Are you willing to work with it? You here for me. Yes, my kids are going to be in the equation, but there is going to be like no force, kids on you. We're still going to be able to do things and go out and take trips within reason and balance everything out. And if I met a woman who didn't want to have kids, I'm good with my 3 I got. If she want to have kids, I'm open to having that. But I want to do that inside of a marriage. If
Right.
that's the case, I want to be there. So now I've learned from my 3 different experiences. So let me make sure we bonded, we here, we gonna be in a household together, so I can enjoy all of that goodness, in the house and watching my little man and my little queen grow up into an adult. So yeah, it's definitely been, it was challenging initially at first, but I would say to women or men, if there's someone out there who have different kids by different, it may be a story to it. It may be something
Mhm.
legitimate. It may not just be they was just sneaking in somebody's window, getting people pregnant, and just popping them off. There may be a legitimate reason, and they may have learned from it, and they may have grown wise from it. And although we do this thing where we place value on people solely based on whether or not they have attachments or kids or not, but some people who may have kids still add just as much as value as someone who don't have kids as far as a mindset. And it depends on what type of lifestyle that you're willing to live. So those are things that people automatically throw out the window when you find out, well, she got 2 baby daddies. Oh no, that thing probably crazy than mug. They probably over there, laying up with them and doing all that. So for me, thankfully, I was mature enough to, when we broke up, I am not going to lay with you again. Like, we broke up. This is solely on the kid. We are the partnership on what's best for the kid. So if you need money, we need to do that. Time with the kids. Our interactions in front of the kids needs to be positive. How you speak about me in front of the kids needs to be positive. How I speak about you when they're in my presence needs to be positive. So they understand, because I grew up like that. I have a stepmom and I had a stepdad. So my mom and my dad did not marry. But when I was with my dad and my stepmom, my dad or my stepmom never talked bad about my mom. Never said anything negative. Never. And I enjoyed my time I spent with them. And she's my mom. Like, she's my stepmom, but she's my mom. I love her to death. And I call her mom. And same thing with my stepdad. And my stepdad and my mom has actually passed away. But when they was there, my dad, my mom never talked bad about my dad, never said anything negative about him. And I enjoyed that. So that didn't taint my image of my father and have me look at him a certain way, or, hey, man, you did this, you did that, so and then whenever they communicated, if I ran away one time when I think I was 14, my mom called my dad. My dad came over. She let me and him hash it out and have a talk. I'm just like, the first time I saw my dad cry, it was like, man, I was like, hush me. I was like, but dad, we were crying, he cared about me. But just their partnership, the subconscious, just seeing that, like, taught me a lot. So when I, had my kids, I was like, okay, well, we're not about to do the drama. Like, we can't do the drama. Like, we got to be able to get a space where we can communicate, we can, be adults, and we can't be, leaving doors open if I don't plan on marrying you. So if I'm not going to play house, I'm not going to come into the house and lay with you just because I can, or just because we have a child together. And that's like a very mature thing you have to decide to do, because the kid's going to see you coming out of mama's room in the morning. So they're going to be thinking that, so you need to make sure that is, if it's going to be platonic and we're raising the kid for their best interest, that when you come in the front door, hey, how you doing? It's a hug, everything good. It's a good interaction. All right, Drew, have fun with your dad. See you later. And it's a mutual. We wave at each other, and you keep it 100% and just honest and friendly. So I really enjoy that, and really big on that as far as my kids, or just even the other people's kids. If I see like my uncles or my cousins or somebody, like, yo, like, hey, you might want to just cool down on that, because your daughter is going to pick up on that, and she's subconsciously, on a subconscious level, going to register that. And even though she may not realize it today, that may affect them years down the line.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. It helps when you have a good example. And it's like, okay, so this is what I saw in my home, with my dad and my stepmom, my other mom, my mom and my stepdad, my other dad. And so it causes you not to want to perpetuate something different, and it's a lot, like you said, you go into it like, nah, I didn't have that kind of drama. I'm not getting ready to have it now. I know the circumstances. And like you said, and I was just going to say, in the Black community, we need to see that. We need to see that. We need to know that it doesn't have to be baby mama, baby daddy drama. It doesn't have to be that way. Just because we're not together doesn't mean we can't get along. We can co-parent without any issues. So yeah, I like that. And that, again, that's what people don't see, because automatically your mind goes to, oh, 3 kids and no, thank you. Not knowing that it's a really, and I'm gonna speak from a female perspective, because statistics say it's these many women to this many men, right? And so you almost kind of you got a limited choice anyway. So you X'd out the trash man, you X'd out this where he got kids. What you gonna have left, sis? And meantime, this is a very educated man, a good upstanding man, and you don't want to talk to him because he got 3 kids, or you don't want to talk to him because he's a trash man. Come on, we got to do better.
And that comes from peer pressures from family members, things that how people were raised. Don't you come in here with no woman that got 2 or 3 baby daddies. Don't you come in here with no man that got 2 or 3 baby daddies. You better not. So subconsciously, women are already, peoples in general, have X'd out those individuals and pretty much look at them as used goods. Men like, I don't want her. She already had 3 kids, but that woman come with some type of experience and some type of, and her past or her kids is not necessarily a bad thing. These kids, we might grow up to be the next top engineers, the space astronauts or something. So you have people. So now, I said my grandmother, she had 15 kids, and those all 15 kids went on to do something positive. Now we've gone to the point to where people don't even want to have kids because my opinion, we become more about self. We become more selfish about our lifestyle. I don't want to have no kids unless X, Y, and Z. Or if I have a kid, then that means less money for me, and that means I can't do X, Y, and Z. Or I can't buy X, Y, and Z. So we've lost that tradition, so to speak, on just like having a kid and actually doing that. But it's two-sided though, because there are a lot of broken men who do not know how to love, and there's also broken women too that don't know how to have a positive relationship. So I believe that we have to go back to the basics of just bonding and doing that mental health in the Black community, because we are not aware of a lot of our traumas and our histories and what's implanted in our subconscious. And we keep on doing these same cycles. We keep dating the same women over again. Keep that same men over again. And we're living in a current time where everything's about money you got, car you drive, the videos you see. So kids now, and then a lot of the music industry, or just music that's out there, is about you see women wearing skimpy clothes, guys wearing money. So it's a lot of over sexualization. Men care more about their relationships with their men, so to speak, versus actually having a girlfriend. So I've worked in detention centers. So it's funny, like, and sad at the same time. It's like, you mean to tell me you're gonna talk to your girlfriend like that? Yeah, brah. What you doing, brah? Everybody be over there. And like, but then when you go on the phone, yeah, man, you talk to your guys, you talk to totally different. Like, man,
right.
Like, man, she tripping. Like, it's like, you need the family dynamic needs to be there. You need to be talking about with this woman about, how y'all gonna come together and have a solid relationship, instead of accusing her of having, a boyfriend on the side, or why pretty much detained. It goes both ways, but I think that really that part of it, as far as lifestyle, relationships, and just really just the trauma that we go through, and just really being aware of it, and really just doing that work within yourself. Like, I need to work on myself. I got a problem, and or I have a problem. I don't know what that problem is, so I need to talk to somebody about it and really seek some therapy, or some mental health or anything. So for me, meditation helped me. Meditation, sitting alone. When I moved from Chicago to DC, that was a big move for me. It took me from most of everything that I knew. I came here to pursue work and a career to provide a better lifestyle for my kids. So I made the leap, and it was into the unknown. I had to get comfortable with being uncomfortable every single day. But it taught me, like, to sit down, and man, in that last relationship, I was a little bit of an asshole. In
Mm-hmm.
this relationship, I was a bad guy. In this relationship, I did her wrong. In that relationship, I could have did this better. Even if you was done wrong, or they cheated, or whatever it is, there's
Right.
always things that we need to be looking at ourselves to actually
Mhm.
improve on and build on. And I think a lot of times, if you feel like you just a perfect person and you don't got nothing you need to work on, then you really need to look in the mirror.
I think that you said something that was key there. You got to have self evaluation. You got to be able to get self examination. You have to examine yourself and realize, you know what, my stuff stinks in this area. My stuff smells good in this area. These are some areas that I need to fix and I need to move on. And sometimes, as you said, moving from Chicago to DC, that change in environment makes you examine yourself. That change of environment, sometimes change of environment makes you grow up. It makes you grow quicker than you wanted to, because
Man.
you don't have the safety net or the comfort zone of being home. So you have to. It's like the eagle thrown out of he throws his baby out of the nest. You got to fly, or you got to die. And so moving to DC, that was your mindset. And what I'm hearing you say, your mindset was, look, I got to succeed here. There's no other way. I got to make sure it's successful. I got to make sure I got to do right. I got to make sure Dante is healthy too, just in case if there's somebody else that's coming in my life, I don't make the same mistakes.
Right. And then also, what type of legacy, or what type of example am I showing my kids? So what are they going to see that I did? Like, oh, daddy made a move. He took a gamble. He took a chance, and it forces to see. But in today's society, we're used to this right here, cell phone. So this is our distraction. This is our comfort zone. This is our safe space, instead of our own heads, or actually having a conversation. You look around at dinner, or you look at people in a club, everybody just sitting around doing this, then picture, but this, when you can, like, put this aside and not be distraction, or not have a club or other guilty pleasures, and you're forced to do that self-evaluation and actually look in the mirror and like, man, like, that's a game changer, and actually apply it and actually do the work. So yeah, that move, it really started to just resonate, and it woke me up. It really woke me up.
So this conscious man, this man who's so in tune with himself and how relationships are, you see the examples that you had. How did we get to Ready to Love?
So coming to DC, so I was in a long distance relationship when I first moved here, and that relationship did not work out. I was at fault. She was at fault. We both was at fault, and the relationship didn't work out. After that relationship, I decided to, like, okay, I need to, meditate, because I did some things. This here, I yelled. I did this. I shouldn't have did that. Here, I did this. And these are some toxic traits that I did. So now, how do I not do this again? I don't want to feel like this, nor do I want my next partner to feel like this, or be aware that when I start to do these things, when I start to get there, I can start to reverse it, and be in a moment and be present, instead of being too anxious about the future, or too guilty about my past, and actually live in that moment. And I'm still a work in progress. I'm still a work in progress.
Right.
But coming here, I did that work, we call shadow work, where I just started to really like deeply meditate, really look at, things I was doing, writing down and journaling about, my behaviors, and kind of like, pointed things out that I need to work on myself. So I took a break from dating. I took a long break from dating. Then I said, okay, I'm getting kind of lonely a little bit. Let me, I'm just working and coming home, gym. I went vegan, which is another thing that kind of woke me up. And I went vegan and changed my whole diet. So a lot of things started to just really, force me to change. So I got into some awesome online dating websites. And man, when I first got on them sites, and when a woman was able to see 3 kids, I was not.
Right.
They were swiping left. Swipe left. So, and I couldn't blame it. So, the dates that I did have, some women that was a lot. Some women it would work, we would date, we would talk, but there would be differences, or I would be able to see like, I don't think this is gonna work because you have X, Y, Z. And if I saw that in a person, in just my opinion, if I see that, like, okay, you might have to work on some more things, or she's not ready, like, let's take a break. I want you to like, work on that, or not that I was too good for them or anything, but if I saw it, I knew that it wasn't going to work for me, then
Right.
what point of carrying it on or dragging it out, and it's not going to work. So some points I'll stay in and try and try and try and try. I was like, okay, this we ain't getting nowhere, so let's just call it. But that was my experience. I would tell her, hey, 3 kids, that's a lot. I can do it. Some women I would go out on a date and it'll be good. We'll talk about that and it'll be a great date.
Dry.
Phone dry. Phone dry.
Hello? So, and I would get ghosted, and that was okay, because that's how some people are nowadays. They're used to dealing with, fear of having that uncomfortable conversation with somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
So as I continue to build more confidence, like I have something to offer, I'm working on myself, and Ready to Love came about. Never heard of the show. Someone sent me the flyer for it, and I was like, Ready to Love? Like, what is this? I was like, what is this? Like, and it was like, oh, you should try out for the show. I tried out for the show. You should try it out. I was like, oh, I'll think about it. And then I literally forgot about it. Maybe a week or 2 weeks went by. Hey, I tried, put in my application. Did you do yours? I was like, no. All you got to do is just send a picture and 3 things about yourself. I was like, all right. And they kind of made me do it. And they were on the phone with me. So I was like, all right, cool. I did. I put it in, boom, send it. Next thing you know, they started coming back. So at the time, I still don't know what the show is about. Now, back up and go about to 2013. One of my friends I went to school with at Ball State was a producer for the Steve Harvey show. So I did like 3 segments on the Steve Harvey show. She asked me like, hey, we're looking for single guys. We ain't really got a lot of like, college educated guys that come onto the show. Are you interested? And at the time I was like, I ain't doing nothing else. Why not? So,
Right.
and that's kind of like how it's always been with me being on TV or some type of acting. So I thought it was something similar to that. I did the Steve Harvey show back in 2013. It was like a date. It was one date with a young lady that we met on an online site, and we went to a restaurant. Then we went on Steve's show, and we had a date. And they kind of, summarized the date. Steve, told us little jokes and everything, and it was funny. And so I thought it was gonna be something like that. So I'm like, oh, it's a one-time show. Just come on. All right, okay. Then when I actually got like toward the middle of the process, and was like, man, this is a show. Like I actually looked it up. I'm like this is a whole season. Like this is like a whole survival says love match, mashup, curveballs. So I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a lot. Am I gonna be able to do this? Because I work, and so it ended up working out. And I said, you know what? This I deserve a shakeup or something different. This fell into my lap for a reason. So why not? If I can make it on the show, then why not throw my name in the hat and make it on the show? Maybe I'll meet someone who's open to dating someone with my situation. And I saw like the first thing I saw for the Houston season was the Meet the Singles. I was like, okay, sound like they picked some. And I said, this Oprah Winfrey's network. Oh, Oprah gonna do a thing, and she gonna make sure she got some hitters on here. So these would be more emotionally available people more so geared toward dating. So I was like, cool. And at least, and hopefully I don't get eliminated on the first date. The first date was one thing I was like, and then if I go home the second, third, fourth week, maybe someone would see my situation, and then I would get exposure, and then they can be like, hey, your situation can work for me. Let's have a conversation and talk. And so it gives its duality to it. Like, okay, I was like, I might be able to work with this. So I made it on the show, and first day walked in the match and mix it, didn't know what to expect. And just like, I'm just gonna be myself and just mingle and meet and talk with people.
So when you found out about the show and you found out what it was, did you go back and binge watch any of the other seasons?
I watched the whole Houston season. I think the Houston season was still being played when I doing it. I think it was maybe on episode 4 or 5. So I literally became hooked on the show. And I was like, yo, this is a good show. Like, I'm actually enjoying watching the show. Like, it's drama, but it's not like a lot of drama where it's most people say the other VH1 networks, but it's not like it's got a little drama. It's got a little bite to it, but it ain't over the top. So
right.
I can work with this. So I ain't gonna be on here looking like a clown or something like that, or embarrassing myself, because I do work. I am a government employee, and I don't want to embarrass myself and lose my job. So let me sit down and watch the show. So I was very entertained in the show, the Houston season. I watched some of bits and parts of the other seasons, but the Houston season, after the last resort, that season, I really enjoyed it. Plus, I went to Houston a few times that year, and I really enjoyed myself in Houston. So I was like, okay, Houston. So yeah, it was.
Anybody you was crushing on the Houston season?
Anybody was crushing on? I don't know. Let me see. I mean, all the women were attractive. I would definitely say, all the ladies, almost. I would say I found all the ladies attractive on the show. I would person I would really want to see as far as more the personalities, but as far as aesthetically, all of them was beautiful. I mean, you had Amber, you had Stacy, you had Kyra, you had Chris, so you had the comedian, I can't remember her name, you had Venetia, so all of them aesthetically had a beautiful look. So all of them, you had the one I can't remember the name, the one that AJ ended up leaving at the resort. She was attractive.
Oh no, AJ was with shoot. What's it? The lawyer.
Besides,
the lawyer.
Besides Kyra?
It was Kyra. It was Kyra. AJ was Kyra.
And it was someone else that she had.
Alexis.
Alexis. I love her personality, really bubbly. So so for me, I don't just be attracted just by how they look. I just really like their personality. And I know that, certain shows or just TV in general, you're going to have glimpses of what an actual person's personality is. Right. So you can't necessarily tell it. But even on our season, I was attracted to all of the women. I like the first episode of UC. I'm like, I like so-and-so, Steve. I like so-and-so. So-and-so. Tell me, you're going to name the whole cast. I was like, y'all did a good job. So...
Like you call it a mixer, I was mixing it up, right?
I was like, man, y'all did a good job. You got Sabrina, you got Aisha, you got, Carrie, you got all this. So I really enjoyed just the variety in different women. So really, what this show has taught me, that it's not always about the looks or what you're initially attracted to. It's about what kind of connections that you're going to make with this person, the chemistry, and then also the ability to see the big picture. How are you going to fit in my lifestyle? Is it going to just be for a short stint for fun, or is it going to be for a lifetime potentially? Are you in a space where you are actually ready to actually do a relationship? Is there still more work? Am I willing to put in that work with you if you need more work, and vice versa? So there's a lot of different things, because even though we come on the show, everyone still have their own issues and things that they're still going through, because we're still growing, we're still learning how to heal ourselves, we're still dealing with trauma. So that's something that comes with, and that for me, that's the most important baggage that a person comes to a relationship or situation with, is, you know, what they come in is their mental, you know, outlook on life and relationships and where they at and what they actually want to be. Because one thing I learned was that people play games on the show, and it was like, you know, I'm here for this reason, but you know, I'm really not here for this reason. So I'm here to sell this, so I'm here to be seen. So you had to learn how to, you know, navigate through all of that once you actually really get to know somebody. So
so I had a question we always ask everybody that's been on Ready to Love. When you came in to the mixer, was it anybody there that you recognized or that you knew that you was like, oh, I seen them before, I seen, you know?
Carrie, and it was so, we had a whole moment at the table, because so me and Carrie know each other from kickball. Her team kicked our butt in kickball, and you know, so I knew her in kickball. So we sat at the table and we was like, oh, I know. He was like, we both was like, kick, and then we started laughing. So that was the only person that I knew at the match mixing. We had a little moment, and at the time, you know, I saw her more so as like, I affiliated her with kickball. So I didn't necessarily, you know, entertain that as, you know, I did the rest of the ladies, because like, I know you a little bit. I know you surface level a little bit, but I know you a little bit. So I put my attention, and she did the same thing. She put her attention towards, you know, guys like Tyrone, other guys that she was dating. And then there was a date with me and her, and it just looked like I'm just looking at her like, yeah. So we had a good conversation. We had a great conversation. We talked about kickball, but all that stuff wasn't shown. But I don't know what happened. It was a pause or break, but it was just looking like, it just looked mad and uncomfortable. I was just like, man, I was cringing. I was like, wait, what's talking? I was like, wait. So I don't know. But that was the one person that I did know coming into the Manson mission.
You know, when you got on there, you know, you said you was joning, or you was looking at everybody was pretty. You know, I like this one, and we saw you. You know, you hooked up, you know, with Shiloh and Mumin, and you had some pics there.
Connected.
Don't say connected. We use the word connected. I want to say connected, right? Connected with Mumin and Shiloh. You know, she got to keep me straight sometimes, right?
Yeah, you got to be particular about, you don't want to say nobody hooked up. Like, wait a minute, hold on, which bit I hooked up?
When you connected, what was it that you liked about Mumin and your early connections? Because you guys connected.
The first person I actually connected with or talked to was Shiloh.
Right? That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So Shiloh, you know, aesthetically very beautiful. She had this like very elegant but very, very sexy attire on. It was like a little black ruffle dress, and it was like almost see-through. So he was like, okay, like she's sexy, but she also got a little, you know, dark, you know, little bad side to her. I'm like, okay, I like this. And then when you actually talk to her, she, you know, she talked about her intimacy and vulnerability, and she was sharing stuff with me at the fireside. And it was just like, man, like she is so open and so vulnerable. And, you know, I was like, you know, I can tell that she'd been hurt before, but she was utilizing that hurt as, you know, as a motivation to, you know, apply towards another relationship, but also say that's not my past, and I'm ready to move forward with somebody else. I was like, I really enjoyed that. Plus, you know, she's Trini. My stepdad was Trini, so we had that connection there. And we just really had like a really deep conversation. It wasn't just surface, which I really enjoyed about my initial conversation with Shiloh. And Mumin, we had a great conversation. We just talked about, you know, fun stuff, life. You know, I mentioned my kids. She was like, "Oh, I love kids. I'm in the church ministry, and you know, I love kids." So I was like, "Okay, all right." That's, you know, because usually when you say 3 kids, different mothers, people like take a pause, a hard swallow. You know. Mm-hmm. Let me process this. You know, so well, you look good and all, but that's a lot. And so, but I didn't get that. So I was like, and then just I'm really big on energy and just vibes, and her energy was just so calm and so easy, and the conversation just was like water. It just flows. I was like, okay, well, man. And then I talked to Aisha a little bit. I talked to Zadia. I talked to almost everyone, because one thing I did learn about the Houston season when I watched, I was like, okay, I need to make sure that when I come in, that was like my study, my film. I was like, when I come
Right.
in, I got to make sure I talk and see which one's for me, and kind of like cut
Right.
off people who are not for me, but also still be emotionally available to be open to something. I might learn something about this person that I didn't know. So not necessarily close off connections, but know who were my stronger connections and be able to articulate that to them and vice versa.
Right.
So you hanging tough with Shiloh. One of the things that we saw was when you and Shiloh got to the part where you could bring in your exes.
Mm-hmm.
You got into the part where you got all the way there where you could bring in to your exes, and you bring exes in. So now you have Shiloh, you and your ex. Your ex comes in, and then we got Zadia there as well. So how was that played out? Did you know they were coming ahead of time? Where the dynamics, or were you just as shocked to see both women interact together? That was it. All three women interact together.
So I did not know exactly who was coming. So there was contacted. I was like, these are people I want for my my ex's date. I asked for Aisha actually to be a part of that ex's date, but she had something going on. She wasn't able to make it. So they have this thing where each deliberation we choose who our top like three are, and so
Right.
so those was my top three. So Zadia comes in. I'm like, okay, Zadia, she came in, we talking, but before she came in, I met with my ex, and I didn't know that Shiloh was coming until right before we started filming, like literally, like, all right, and also Shiloh's gonna be here too, and boom, all right, let's go. And then we started having our conversation, and I was like, me and my ex looked at each other, me and Stacey looked at each other, was like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. And so I could have, yes, told Zadia, oh, by the way, Shiloh's going to be coming too. But then also, I was no way of me telling Shiloh that
Right.
Zadia was going to be there either. So, it wasn't about playing TV. It was about saying, okay, well, this is a situation, and let's see how both ladies handle it without prior knowledge. So that was my reasoning for not blurting out to Zadia like, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, Shiloh coming too. And then Shiloh get there, she don't have that advantage knowledge
Right.
either. So we're gonna keep the playing ground very even keel. So unfortunately, Zadia felt she was uncovered and wasn't protected because of I didn't tell her that, but this is also this is a show where there's going to be twists and curveballs, as Tommy say, and that was a curveball. The same curveball happened to me. Mumin had Walter come in on our friend day. I didn't like jump down Mumin's throat. It's like, you ain't tell me Walter was coming here. Instead, I grabbed her hand and was like, it's okay. She was nervous. Are you good? And made sure she was good. And it wasn't no like I was trying to get brownie points. It was just me as a person to person seeing that she was anxious and just, I was right there. So let me, help try to, calm you down. And I didn't take it, anyway. I just, okay, Walter's here. Okay. I understand that this is a show also as well as a journey, and that we are openly seeing how dating plays out in real life, but we're seeing it here. So generally, I would never have two women that I'm dating at the same table with my ex. Like, yeah, by the way, yeah, my ex gonna grill y'all and see which one of y'all about that business, because not that would never happen, right? That would almost that really would. It may happen, but so understanding that, like, yeah, this is TV. Like, yeah, there's a portion of it that is entertainment, and that this is also what we signed up for, and that we didn't want to go through this, and we didn't want to go through curveballs. Then don't come on to this. Don't sign up for the show. We signed a contract. This is what we signed up for. So, I mean, if you want to be out and date and know everything what's going on with a person, then don't come on to don't come onto this journey. But that was a part of the journey that we understood. And also it teaches you stuff about people. And I learned something about Zadia. I learned something about Shiloh. And it was like, that was good intel. And my ex was right. She picked the one who was less aggravated or more so looking at the half glass full versus half empty. And that gave me a different perspective, but also it was for them as well. You got to ask her questions about me that I necessarily wouldn't want you to ask. But we said that the segment may have been like 5 minutes, but we was there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, where she got to get information about me. And she didn't tell me, oh, by the way, yeah, I'm going to ask this question, and then I'm going to ask this question, and then I'm going to ask this. No, your purpose was to ask questions that I would be blindsided by, so you can see how I react, see what, and then you can also make a decision, because you as well have other connections that in other decisions that you have to make. So we got to understand that. So it wasn't necessarily about, blindsiding somebody, it was like, no, keeping the playing field fair, because I didn't want to give neither one of you guys an advantage.
Yeah. And I was going to say exactly what you said. So it's about, how does this person react in this situation? Because you're trying to find love. You're trying to find somebody to be with. So it's a telltale case. So let me see. And again, like you said, not that you was trying to set her up, but you want everybody to be on the same playing field. And then, okay, so how do you react when somebody is there that you don't expect to be there? How do you react when my ex asks you this question? Or how do you react when you get this response? Then I can say, well, maybe this is not somebody I want to deal with, because you didn't handle that very well. I don't know if you built for this, because I could, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying, people like, I could be a bit much, so maybe this is not the person I want to go with.
And it's speed dating, so it's moving at an accelerated pace. So you're still getting to know me. So this is an opportunity for both of us to learn about each other. So I can't always give you a cheat sheet as to what is getting ready to go to happen, because if I give you a cheat sheet every time, you know how to handle the situation. You can finesse and you can handle me a certain way, versus me seeing how you act when things don't go the way that you expect them to go. Because in a relationship, things are going to happen. Something's going to happen where you may be going through something where, it may cripple you. And I need to see how you react. Are you going to fight for us? Or are you just going to throw in the towel and say, I'm done with it? So you can learn those things about a person. So, yeah, but it definitely told some things that would come in the future with that situation. So I was like, hey, well, see, I'm glad the situation happened.
But your situation, you talked about we'll get back to the Dottie and the Shiloh situation in a minute, but when you got curveball, when Walter came in, it was a different reaction, because as you mentioned, you went closer to Mumin, and Walter felt uncomfortable because of the fact that you was there. And so it seemed like you could tell just off that, you was kind of cool, calm, and collective. At first, you could tell, man, Dante putting it on a little bit thick when you slewed over, like he ain't worried about Walter. Or you act like as if Walter wasn't even there, and you kept doing your own thing.
For me, it's like it's no I'm not competing against Walter. Like Walter has his connection with Mumin. That's something that I'm not even worried about. My connection is with Mumin. Walter's here, yes, but in real world, a woman goes out, and if she's dating and she's single, she's going to get different guys' numbers, and a man's going to get different girls' numbers, and they're going to be calling people on the phone. So yeah, when you hang out with me, you might call the next guy and see which one you feel. And a guy may do the same thing. So I'm not concerned that Walter's here. Like, my connection with you, and it is what it is. I'm not about to get mad or upset because Walter came. I'm like, Walter's here. Okay, cool. This is I can look at it two ways. This is my competition. I can rise up to the occasion, or I can just fold and just get mad and be like, well, you didn't tell me he was coming, so I don't feel protected. I mean, you didn't protect me and tell me that this man was gonna be here. Now I'm hurt. And that tells me you ain't ready to love. Like, no, we don't do that. We don't do that.
Right.
So I'll be like, all right, cool. Walter here, game on. Walter here. He just when I looked at it, Walter's just another guy at the table having a conversation with us. That's it. It wasn't like I panic. Oh, Walter's here. Like, oh, my competition's hands are sweaty. Oh, like it's like no, it's like that. Walter's here. This is my guy. And if she deems to have a stronger connection with Walter than me, then that's what I want because I'd rather have her play that out and see how that plays out and decide, well, I didn't did Dante, Walter. I think Dante is going to be, or I think Walter's the guy for me. And cool, then we can, and that's the thing that we don't do. People have such egos now. When someone tells you no or rejects you, it's like, oh, you how dare you reject me? How you know who I am? I'm the ish. How dare you gonna sit up here and just tell me you can't be with me? You don't want me. You know what? Since you don't want me, I ain't talking to you no more. And then they get mad and be like, I ain't. So when women tell me, look, those 3 kids is too much for me, or they assume that I'm X, Y, and Z, or whatever it is that they associate that with, there's no personal feelings. I'm sitting here, I'm in tune with myself. So you go ahead and you find Mr. Right for you. If I don't work, that's fine. I'm not gonna take that personalize it. If you need help, I'm gonna help you out, or I can be a friend. Like that's literally how cool you have to be about it. But yeah, I mean,
I like that you said that too, because people do. It's like they take it as a complete rejection. Guess what? Everybody ain't for everybody, and it's okay. You can move on to the next one, and it might be somebody else for me. People take it so like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Why you don't want me? Because they just don't. You're not their cup of tea. It is what it is. Not nothing wrong with you. It's nothing wrong with you, and it's nothing wrong with them.
Right. It just may not work, and that's okay.
Exactly.
You come together, you meet somebody. All right, it's great, but you know what? This ain't working out no more. Okay, cool. Can we still be all right? For whatever reasons, your rationale, you don't see it, I don't see it, or we collectively come together and say this isn't going to work. Let's be friends. Okay, but some people have rejection issues. Some people just have ego issues, so they feel like who don't want me, But you really got to be real, like. You ain't for everybody. I may be handsome aesthetically or whatever, but I can think I'm the handsomest man in the world. I don't necessarily mean I'm gonna be attractive to every single woman, and not every woman's gonna want to be with me, and vice versa. So you have to be able to be okay with that.
And so
that takes us.
Yeah. So when you leave your ex gives you your advice, right? She says, "This is who I like. This is who I don't like." When did you immediately say, "You know what? I need to one of these two. I need to trim down." At what point when you left the dinner, what was your mindset? What were you thinking?
So I left the dinner. It was like, man, at the time, Zadia was my top connection at the time.
Right.
So I'm like, man, my ex don't like it, but and she's right. Zadia did get like real, like another drink, more shots, tequila. Like she is she taking in silos and sitting there like
unbothered,
like she's unbothered, like in her mind, I'm sure she's like, this is like some BS or whatever, but she handled it well, and then that can be handled and have a conversation later on, like how that situation. But with Zadia, it was just like I'm thinking, like, man, she was just upset, she was mad, and we got to talk. I get the messages, we got to talk, and it's like, well, I didn't feel protected. You should have told me this, and the kind of, well, I should have this, but there was no accountability of what you could have did. Everything was all fingers pointed towards me and what I should have did, and so I'm like, okay, it's kind of a little red flag, but I still have more of a connection with her. Shiloh, I have a connection with her too. So Shiloh handled it well. Okay, so points more so for Shiloh at this point. She handled it well. She was very classy about it. That told me a lot about her, but also gave me some warnings for Zadia. So I'm like, okay, well, let's see what this retreat. So at the time, the retreat was coming up. So I was like, okay, well, we'll see what happens to the retreat. This one things don't really, really tell who is, because at the time I still, even though my ex gave me that, I still was like, I'm still feeling Zadia because I'm feeling like I could make that work. I'm feeling like, okay, maybe I could, if she can be receptive, then maybe I can coach her into this if she can be open to it, but still Shiloh's right here and ready available. So I was like, let's wait and see. So that was my mindset leaving the dinner with the ex's date. And then also understanding that, both of them had other connections as well. So, and I think they both either left or was going to, another, date later on that day or the next day. They had a date with, the meet, Field and Naeem's ex. So I understood that, as well. So I was like, it's still anybody's game at this time.
Mm-hmm. And the sleeper, and you still had the sleeper.
I still had the sleeper. She was in the back pocket. She was the ace up my sleeve right here. She was like, she was just marinating. She was like that good jerk chicken. She was over there just marinating. We marinating these conversations on the phone. Like, yeah, what you doing? She in her little old lady chair, wrapped up, a little mink fur. Oh, I'm watching. Like, would you come on out? I'm trying to get her to come out, break the rules. Like, let's just go out. I want to be around you. And that was the thing. Like, I want to actually be around you in your space to see how it feels to be around you. I see you on some of the dates. The pool date. Me and her talked and we vibed. I was under the unicorn pulling her meme around. They was rapping, songs and stuff, and we had fun. So we never had an opportunity to have that one-on-one time. So I was like, okay, I got the sleeper. And so it was like, I'm glad that we actually had the opportunity to have that time at the retreat. But by that time the retreat came, I already knew pretty much where Shiloh was at, and I knew pretty much where Zadia was at. And so going to the retreat, I was like, this is probably gonna be it. I get some time to spend with Aisha, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. At that point in time, I was like, because I had found out about the alliances, and I saw everything for what it was. So at this point in time, I'm like, well, my top two connections got other top connections, and I'm still number two. So at some point in time, it's going to be time for me to actually stage left. And I was like, all right, cool. I understand that.
I'm sorry.
So now you talked about her chair. We had Aisha on, right? and she talked about her chair. She loved that chair. I'm asking,
you gotta tell him. She said hush.
She told you to hush, but I ain't gonna tell you to hush. Like most people, are you able to sit in that chair? Are you able to relax in that? Because some people have that favorite chair. They don't let nobody else relax in that chair.
No, I asked her, like, let me just see this chair looks like. She wouldn't even let me see the chair. She wouldn't let me sit in the chair. No, that's like her little baby, her little chair. Just wrapped all up, like literally, like she all wrapped up in the chair like this on FaceTime. I'm like, get out the chair! Like, what are you doing? Get out the chair!
Oh man!
Oh my God!
All right, so you have narrowed. So by the time the retreat comes, you learn this landscape of the game. You learn the politics. You're like, okay, I understand people are playing the numbers game here because we watch the show. You even at home, you sit there. And you watch the show, you can play the numbers game. So from you guys who are playing the game, how much is the number game really played? The game that you're connecting. Okay, if I got this person here, I got this person here. I know I got two to like me, maybe two impossible. At the time this part, how much are you playing like today? Because you mentioned, I think I'm going home. So what gave you that impression that you was that you may have been on a chopping block?
So there was my connection with Zadia, and she was my main connection, and I think we had 2 days before the retreat. So it came to a point where she was asking me, who was in your top, who was in your bottom, who was in so and so top, who was in so and so bottom, and it's like now she's like, our connection is going from what I felt like is going from an actual connection to like actual like pawn or like messenger to give insight on what's going on in the men's deliberation. So I'm like, why we talking about them? Like, we have a connection. So that raised the flag. There also the flag with my date with Stacy and what she was. So now, and it might have been that. It might have been because of the Shiloh coming in and she felt unprotected. Now you a pawn, and I need to utilize you as a vote to keep me in. Maybe she liked me a little bit. I don't know, but the way I looked at it is I was being used as a pawn in the game. So she told me to play heavy on Mumim at one of my deliberations. And so I'm like, and I looked at like, I played it cool. I didn't like, what you mean? I was like, I just replied Game of Thrones. And I like look, and I think I was at the deliberation. I just kind of just shook my head like, and just like started just to process it going into our deliberations. I think that week it was right before Cecile went home because it was right before the retreat. So I'm like heavy on Mumim. So and also let me sit here and do the math. You know that at the time you're my connection, but yet you tell me to go with one of your homegirls, somebody that you hang with, that's your homegirl, to go heavy on her. So what about me and you? So that told me like, okay, I'm maybe she looking out for her girl more than so she was actually looking out for a potential connection. So let me, I'll help you go to the end if you help my girl go to the end. That's sort of like the ultimatum that I got. So I know I got Shiloh, but Shiloh has other connection with, she feels her top connection. I know that. And then I know that it was me. And then I know that, Abazadi is number 2. She never told me I was a number 1 pick or anything like that because I never asked. But I just assume, assuming I'm probably number 2, especially after you tell me that, go heavy with. So that means I would never be able to compare to your number 1. So I was good with that. I was like, I respect it. If Naeem's your top choice and that's who you want to ride out with, then cool. I wish y'all the best of luck. And that's kind of the conversation I had in my mind when it's like Game of Thrones. So at that point in time, I did start to limit the communication that I had with her. And I want to say the deliberations happened on like that Sunday, on the Sunday, and I think I had a date with Mumeen that Monday, and then the retreat was on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. So we talked in between it. We was limited because at the time, we knew the retreat was coming up. Everybody's going to get new clothes and everything. So everybody was busy, between working and, I knew I was going to be off work for a few days. I needed to totally check out for work. So I'm working. So we didn't talk as much as we did, but we had communication. So I find it very funny that she said we didn't talk for 3 days before the retreat when we actually talked. I mean, she actually texted me like that morning of, and we actually, communicated. So I thought that was a cop out, but that's my opinion. But going into the retreat, I knew that this could be, I'm probably going to go home, because I understand that I know Tommy, he going to curveball, Tommy going to throw some curveballs, and he might send 2 guys home. He might send 3 guys home, or he might say after this retreat, we need, because I was told at one point that I had too many connections, and I had a lot of people I was connected. I was like her. I was like that little kid at cancer. I like her, and I couldn't decide. So yeah, I needed to, tighten up, or as the lady said, I needed to shrink. So going into the retreat, there was Zadia, there was Shiloh, and then there was Aisha. And so I was really intentional on the retreat with making sure that I made time for Aisha. So I put her as the priority because we never had any time. So look, this woman won't come out this doggone chair to hang out with. I gotta, improvise, and we're gonna do something at this retreat. So we cooked together, and knowing that, I was like, okay, knowing this, knowing how Zadia is, and how she might take to it, or even Shiloh, that I'm going to go into the retreat where I probably should be making an effort to pursue them more, but I'm going to actually take this time to actually pursue another interest and make her a priority and make the weekend all about her. Right. And then that's what I did. So I knew that it was going to be some blowback from that because now, poor Dante, you're not playing ball. You're not getting with the winning team. You're supposed to be going with Mumim and going heavy with her. And I found it funny that Mumim allegedly told Walter that she had an alliance with me. And And Walter, I think he told something. Then Walter looked at me funny, like, "What? Dante a part of this alliance stuff?" Like, but I never had a conversation with me about an alliance or anything like that. But I do know that her and Zadia are very close. So I'm assuming that because she told me heavy on Mumin, I just put Game of Thrones like a little meme in there, and she just put absolutely after that, laughing. And that was it. I didn't, that was the end of it. That was, I'm assuming that she assumed that I was down with that, and then that was communicated to me. But at the end of the day, I'm like, this is so, yeah.
Trying to manipulate you from the accent.
Right. So me knowing that, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, by the way, Zadia, I'm gonna make this weekend all about Aisha. And, I'm like, why would I do that? Like, no, I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna see how you handle it. I'm gonna see how Shiloh handled it. I'm gonna see how Mumin handled it. Even though Mumin, we had a little bit, but by that time we had, our connection had fizzled out. And so I was like, this is probably it, because I didn't expect Aisha to be like, well, I'm gonna kick Phil and Frank and my other connections to the curve just for Dante, who I just had this moment with just this weekend, but the chemistry between me and her was just so electric. And it was just like, man, like, okay, we cooking together. We doing, I like cooking. So she called me a little soup chef. I ain't like that. I was supposed to have my own stuff to cook, but they didn't bring my stuff. I was supposed to cook my own dish. Like, I wanted to cook my own dish. But you know what? I'm not ego ain't too big. I'm gonna be soup chef.
They say somebody got to run the kitchen. So I'm just assuming that she throw down, because when we had her on here, she throws down in the kitchen.
She throw down.
She did give you a compliment though, that but every time she needed something, you was right there. So that means
we was working and singing. What you need? Because my mom taught me how to cook. So with my mom, I would cook Christmas dinner. She would sit back and just kind of instruct me, because I wanted to know how to cook. Because my mom was really big on us being independent. So I'm used to I'm comfortable being in a kitchen with a woman. Like, oh, what you need? Boom, I already know what you need. Oh, I would see her doing stuff. Okay, she don't need this. Hey, baby, I need this. It's already over there. Boom. We already compliment each other. And then, there's the physical attraction that we already had, but we wanted to see if it was deeper than that. And then just the chemistry in the kitchen and cooking, and then actually coming to her, and after she had the blow up with the blow up at the dinner table that happened, and then her being receptive, and there was moments that wasn't filmed when she wanted to go back downstairs as Zadia, who was down there yelling like, Aisha, you got some more shrimps? These shrimps always good. This shrimp's good. She's come out here and make some more shrimp. And then she like, be quiet. Can y'all be quiet? We trying to, we're in scene up here. We're trying to record our scene. And everybody can. And she running down the stairs. I go down there and grab her, pull it back, and like, look, come here, right here in this moment. And she was receptive to that energy. And that told me a lot about her and how she would be able to just check out of that. And then when I did that with Zadia, as you saw, she was like a defensive, like, I don't need you to be no peacemaker though. Like, pretty much saying that it needs to be a little bit of dysfunction or a little bit of drama still. But it's like, this ain't about, who's right or who's wrong. It's about coming to understanding. You guys going to have your perception. Aisha and everybody's going to have their own perception. But you got to be able to disagree respectfully and see, okay, you got your point of view. You got your point of view. I don't agree with it, but I'm going to respect enough to be able to just not try to poke the bear and try to rile you up just because. So when I saw that she wasn't receptive to that, I was like, okay, that was like really like really? Well, actually, that wasn't. It was something else that happened after the massage, after the cameras had stopped filming. It was a whole nother ordeal that happened with Zadia that really like just put that, just put the X in the coffin on top of the heavy one meme and everything like that. So I was just like, at that point, I was like, I really got nothing else for you.
You want to share what that was?
Sure. So, after the massage, Aisha's nice and relaxed, walking back into her room. She's like, I just want to be in my room. I just want to relax. So she stayed in her room. I went back down to see what everybody else was doing. And just because what people didn't know was we had the pajama. It was like a pajama party. So everybody, so when y'all saw me come out with my little robe, you know, everybody was supposed to have a robe because it was supposed to be like a pajama party that we was gonna do. So I just happened to be the only one that was already prepared when I went ahead and, you know, borrowed Aisha from Phil at the piano. So I'm walking around, you know, the retreat with my little robe, open up, you know, I'm walking around. I go out, I see Phil and Shiloh talking, and they're having like a tough conversation. But I sat down before I like, you know, I was like, man, everybody good? And then I was like, and they was talking, they just like Shiloh just kind of gave me this look like, why are you here? And I was like, oh, am I interrupting? She was like, yeah, you kind of are. I was like, oh, my bad. Well, let me go. Phil was trying to give me a look like, no, don't leave, Dante. Take me with you.
Like, help, man. Help.
Yeah, I was like, look, bro, I got nothing for you. Like, look, y'all need to have this conversation. So I mosey on into the to where the jacuzzi at. And then I guess this is where you know, Naeem had prepared you know, the massage date for him and Zadia, you know, at the jacuzzi. He brought some chips and dip for her and Mumeem and Frank. So you see Naeem and Zadia, and she's giving Naeem a massage. And then you have Frank and Mumeem's giving Frank a massage. So they just up there talking, laughing, got the music playing. So I just walk up literally to speak. Like, hey, how's everybody doing? Y'all good? And then Zadia looks over, oh, you done making your sex tape? You done? You done? Y'all done fucking? I'm sorry.
No,
Y'all done ducking? So I was like, look, my bad. Like my energy in here is obviously disrupting whatever y'all got already going on. I'm gonna go ahead and step, you know, my bad. And I literally took a little bow, like, y'all have a good night, enjoy the rest of your night, and literally walked off. So at this point, I walk off into the darkness, and that was like, told me like, man, like, why did I get all that? You know, what is that about? Like, what, you know, I came out, you know, I had my date with Aisha. Here you are having a date, or you rubbing down Naeem, and I'm not. I understand that that's part of the journey. You're going to be dating a man, so I didn't like come in and say, "Why are you rubbing on Naeem?" You know, I couldn't. Even if I didn't just give Aisha a massage, I still wasn't going to do that. I was going to let them have a moment because that's what I want her to do, to explore that option, not accuse her of, you know, giving him a happy ending or something like that. I was like, have your date. That told me something. Then I went out into the field. She came out. We had a talk. I think she, at this point in time, she may have had a little bit more remorse. So I guess she left from the poolside with Naeem, came out and talked to me. I'm out to just look at the stars. You know, I'm just like looking at the stars. It's dark. And I'm just like, okay, I'm just taking it because, you know, I'm on a retreat. I want to actually enjoy it. So I'm going to do my little meditation. She comes out. We have a conversation. We talk. I'm like, you know, I'm continuing the conversation that I had with her at the dinner table now. Like really like, hey, like, you gotta be aware of how you talk to people. Like, what you doing ain't cool. Like, you can't, you know, Trina's trying to hold her accountable, and she's not receptive to it. You know, it's like, well, it's always, but you did this. Well, you shouldn't have did this, and there's no personal accountability for it. And I, you know, like, you got to be okay with being wrong. You have to be okay with making bad decisions. You got to be okay with being the bad guy sometimes. Like, look, I was an asshole. I probably shouldn't have did that. I'm gonna take accountability for it. You know, and if I can't get that, that shows me I got nothing. I'm gonna be arguing with you about stuff and not being open or receptive to different outcomes. So we talked into the piano room. We had more of a conversation. Still more the same. Naeem came in. You know, he looked and he was like, nodded his head, fixed his glasses, said goodnight, and walked in there. And he handled it like a champ. He looked, he saw me and her having a conversation. All right. And then he walked off. He didn't say, why you went here with him? You know, Naeem handled it like a gentleman. You know, so I was just like, yeah, at this point in time, I don't think that it's going to pretty much work between me and Zadia at that point in time. And then I didn't know she had chose Naeem the next day when there was, you know, deliberations. And then of course the date happened with the rooftop. But before that, after everything happened, the deliberations, I still just they don't know exactly what all happened. I just know that the deliberation was like 4 hours long. So I know they went through, and I heard some rumblings about what happened, but I wasn't there to necessarily speak on it. But I know that decisions was made that people didn't, my assumption, my opinion, people did not vote the way they were supposed to vote. Because the way it was supposed to vote, since I wasn't playing ball, I wasn't on a winning team, I was supposed to go home. Walter was supposed to go home. And when they two go home, Aisha was supposed to go home. Sabrina was supposed to go home. Shiloh was supposed to lock it in and choose Phil, so that way that seals off Aisha. And, and obviously, Frank and Mumin made a connection at the retreat, or that solidified their existence. So then that, solidified, because we knew at the retreat, it was going to be like, it's go time. So I said to say, what appeared to me was Mumin, Shiloh, and Zadia having a spirited conversation. I'm going to say spirited. And it was very spirited. And it was like, well, you weren't supposed to do this, man. But I know it. You see people like this and having a conversation like something went wrong. And then, because they kept us, we had to be separated. So, when the women was liberating, they kept us in another room, in the holding room, took our phones so we can communicate, so that way we couldn't, because by that time, people hip to like, what's going on?
Right.
So, after this conversation with them, I'm packing the truck up for Mumin and Aisha. So I'm taking their bags, put it into, we getting ready to drive back to DC. And she gets into the car like, you don't talk to me? We need to talk. And like, hey, how you doing? You good? Like, we need to talk. And like, she kind of like looking over at Aisha, who's in the front seat. And it's so much tension. And I'm looking over. I'm like, I got my hand on Aisha's thigh, like, don't you say a word, because we're not about to put any gasoline to this fire right here. We're gonna let this fire die right out. So I look at her, right. We can talk when we get back. We can talk later. We can talk later. But right now, you're not in the state to where we can talk. And I told her just like that, like you need to. So then she got on the trunk of the car in front of us, and she just kind of like just stood there and just was, she looked disgruntled or looked upset. She appeared to be upset, and then we drove off, and going into the next day, which is the next day was the actual rooftop day.
Right.
I mean, then and there, we did not talk over the phone. She called me later on that night when I got back. I think I sent a text to almost all the cast members, especially all the females, like, hey, I hope that you all made it home safely. At the time, even at that time, I still didn't know she had chose Naeem.
Right.
And so I'm working, I'm catching up back on work. I'm in meetings, I'm shooting emails out. I have a date with Zadia later on that night that she tells me before I, before we even, get the solidifier thing. She like, look, we're gonna be meeting tonight. So I'm like, okay. And she like, we need to talk before that. I was like, well, I'm busy. I got stuff to do. I'll call you when I get a break. And then I did not call her or respond in what appeared to be a reasonable time for her.
Yeah.
So I'm at work. I'm trying to. I'm on the emails. I'm on Zooms. I'm working. So I don't like have time. And if we're gonna have a conversation later on that night, then I'm like, well, we can just talk then. But my opinion, she wanted to have a cheat sheet on what I was going to say, because she didn't want to go in there uncovered. She wanted to know what I was going to say. And unfortunately, we don't have that privilege in everyday conversations with people. There's going to be like conversation that you're going to have with somebody where you're not going to know what they're going to say. It's going to be the unknown, and how you're going to be able to act. But I was going to have a conversation with her until she sent me a text message that alluded to look, we need to talk, or we can just air this all out on camera. So I'm like, hold up, time out.
Right.
I'm a nice guy. I'm a real cool comic, but I don't do well with ultimatums. I don't do well with like indirect threats and everything like that.
Right.
So now I can still choose how I'm going to communicate with you, because communication is 2 ways. So when she sends me this text message, it's like, and I might have, it might have been exacerbated because I was at work and, I was on emails and doing all this and trying to organize things and try to get, make sure I get done with work on time to be able to get there to have the day. Because, I'm in Fort Washington and we got to go to DC. That's the drive, so I don't want to be on the date with her and have to worry about stuff that I didn't get done with work. So I'm trying to close everything out. And if I'm going to talk to you, we going to talk.
Right.
So you can control the narrative beforehand.
Right. And that's what it was, in my opinion. She wanted to be able to know what the narrative was, what I was going to say. I believe she was afraid that I was going to say I chose Aisha, which was because, when me and her Aisha was cooking in the kitchen, everybody was coming in the kitchen like, man, what they got going on? Y'all in here cooking? Like, y'all in here making magic? Because we was in that kitchen making magic. We was in there making magic. So people was like, you can see people coming in like, man, why? Because nobody saw, and nobody saw our connection coming. So it did come out of left field, because after what I learned, I wasn't going to tell. That's the reason about the process and the journey. That's why you don't tell everybody what you're doing. Oh, yeah. By the way, I chose so-and-so. So when people go into deliberations and they go back and tell other people who they chose in their tops, who they put in their bottoms, now people start to move strategically instead of just moving like on authentically and organically. Like, nah, like, okay, that's cool. You didn't choose me at your bottom. You put me in your bottom. That don't mean now I'm going to actually put effort into you just so you can put me in your top, just so I can just remove myself out of a connection with you and work you, so to speak. So that robbed the process of the journey of people potentially making authentic connections with people, because people were so strategic about it. Right. But she wanted that cheat sheet before the date, and I did not give it to her. And at that point in time, I knew. I said, you just want to talk to me so you can know what we're going to talk about. And that's I got that text message. I said, I'm not giving it to you. I don't care. And I can have a nice spirited conversation too, but keep me cool. And that's how the situation blew up, how it did. And if she had chose Nye and that's who she was going to finish the process with, then all you had to do was say, okay, well, you feeling Aisha? Okay, well, I chose Nye already.
Right.
Okay, cool. And it would have been, I would have raised my glass and told it to your connection and made it go well for you and handled it just like that. There's no reason, like, to this day, I don't hold no bad blood against Zadia or any of my former connections. Just like, that's just how she chose to handle it. I give her grace. Everybody's going to have a bad moment. And I'm going to say, I don't think Zadia should be defined for that moment. Like, she still was growing. She's still working on herself. And how she responds afterward really is going to determine on how remorseful, how self-aware she is on the work that she needs to do. And if she's going to do that work, then that's cool. And I don't think that any guy who may consider dating her a song on the show and just like, I can't date her. No, give her grace. Allow her to seek the therapy or the self-realization of what happened and who she needs to become to work. So it's, like I said, it's nothing personal. I don't hold no personal against it. Even though all that happened, she came in with the tap. I was I was actually trying to warn her in that moment, like, the lights on. Like, hey, be like, look at yourself. Like, I'm like, if telepathy was real, I think I could have stopped in that moment. Because I was like communicating, like, I'm here with my vegan risotto. I'm
just trying to enjoy my risotto.
What gave you resolve to just sit there? I mean, you sitting there, you see her leave off, you got your risotto in your hand because you like your risotto, right? And when she started tapping you, right? What gave you the resolve to say, you know what, I'm just going to stay here? Because there had to be something on the inside. Because some brothers wouldn't have done that. So what were you thinking at the moment?
So my first reaction was like, okay. And I have a sense of humor. So, I know I look serious, but I had a sense of humor. So she was gone for about maybe 10, 15 minutes, even though what you guys saw was like that.
Right.
So she was gone. And I'm sitting there, she was gone long enough because, before she left, it was just a wine glass. When she came back, there was risotto. So the risotto had to get prepared and made and come to me. So they had to ask me, hey, you want this with the go or you want to eat it here? I was like, no, I'm going to eat this here. She pretty heated. So I'm going to sit here and eat my risotto.
Right.
I'm going to enjoy this. And so I sat there, eating, and I see her coming back. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, Zadia like to eat. Maybe she wants some risotto, or maybe she's just coming back to, finish the conversation. So I'm thinking she's coming back to finish the conversation. So I'm like, I bet. Okay, cool. I'm still just sitting there eating. Now, had I known she was gonna come back, I might have positioned myself differently or something like that. But I'm literally just sitting there like, and then she came, boom, right over top of me. And I want to say probably about a minute and a half went by before, from what would appear to me, the cameras even got to rolling. Because when she came back, it was dark up there. It wasn't no light. And then the light, and so in my peripheral, when I'm seeing the cameras, the cameraman get the camera set, they're getting it going. That's when I'm having a telepathy moment with it, like, what are you doing? And I'm just thinking, like, don't respond. This is a trigger for you, because I'm the guy that I'm cool, calm, and collective. You can say what you want to say about me. You can say your mama, even though my mom has passed away. You can do all those. You can say all that's atmosphere. But when you put your hands on me and I deem it as a threat, I'm going to react. I'm going to I'm gonna fight you. And it ain't gonna, and probably nobody going to get me to stop, because I'll get to that moment. Because generally, most people, when they're calm, we don't. It takes a lot to get us to that point.
Right.
I'm just sitting here like, be calm. All right, she's on your nose. She touched you. And then not just that, just the aggression and how she, even though it was a little over dramatic, but about that minute and a half before it happened, like that, I think what we saw on camera wasn't the first time she touched me. That was just what we saw. I think once she probably realized the lights came on. And but it was dark for about a minute and a half, and all I saw was a hair, a nose ring, and a finger. And I'm just literally I literally zoned out. Like, I literally do not know till this day. I don't remember most of what she said. All I remember when she left was that you're a fraud and you're a fake. That's all I remember. The part she said I was about to choose you and all that, I didn't like, man, she said that. Like, we was at the reunion, I was like,
I know.
Like, I didn't even know that. Like, hold up, like, what? That don't make sense, because you chose Naeem and why would we have to do all this? And like, wait, what? So that was just, confusing for me. But I think that it appeared that she just had an anger issue, or, in that moment, and she reacted. But I just really just like, it showed me that the work that I've been doing on myself, the meditation, the self being aware, being present in that moment.
Right.
So it was like, well, I do remember it was like every time, like, she made contact with my nose, it was like she made contact, like, relax, stay calm, don't react. Because for me, I'm a self-defense instructor, right? So I've taught like 4 different methodologies of different self-defenses that I've worked in different correctional settings. So I know techniques to take a hand and bend it back and put somebody on the floor. I know techniques to put somebody down like real quick. I could have had her down, but I didn't react. And it was just like, man, because I was aware in that moment. I didn't like have that anxiety that went to like, oh, she's about to do this and attack me and push me over this rail on this balcony. I was just in that particular moment. Like, she's not a threat still. I'm not in danger. I'm here in a moment. Okay, it's happening. Stay calm. Just stay still. Because I didn't even, I gotta thank the risotto though. Because I don't know. I gotta look. I gotta thank I'm so serious. Look, cause I'm in here like this, and I would, and maybe if I didn't have a risotto in my hand, I might have. Like I think I was squeezing onto that fork so hard and palming that bowl that I didn't have to like react. But because I had those two things in my hands, I think that also played a part in it. Because I was like, you have a risotto in your hand, you have your bowl, you have a fork. And so I didn't have like, because I didn't want to like move suddenly and like if I move quickly, put the bowl down. Now, as soon as even me just putting the bowl down in that moment, she could have took that as and then she could have tried to push me or I would have moved the hand away. So luckily, I gotta thank the risotto. Risotto, thank you. The risotto needs to come on here and tell this side of the story. Because that was he had a great point of view, perspective. But I think that also played a part in it too. But it just told me that all the meditation I do, all the work I've done, like really, really have paid off for me.
So and I'm sure again, since you had these other incidences that were like, after that, it was like, you know what? Yeah, my intuition, my conscious, the spirit, whatever ones you want to call it, was like my ex. They was right. I'm making the right choice because this right here, And
no guy wants to constantly put out fires for somebody else. And I think that's the key as a man, as a grown man. Nobody wants to constantly to be with somebody that they're gonna constantly put fires out. And I think when you saw the dinner and all this other stuff, like, you know what, I can't in my life, my walk with my kids, I can't constantly put out fires all the time.
Right. And while I work in a correctional setting, we call them fire starters, right?
Yeah.
You have a partner you work with, and this person go and set the kid off or the young man off or the adult off, because they want to go back and forth and engage in a power struggle with this person. Now the kid is mad or the young adult is mad, and now I got to go over here and put this fire out because you started and you're not even aware that you're even doing it. Like, look, we need to have a conversation. If you can't be receptive to that, then yeah, I'm gonna be that guy in the 5 Heartbeats. Every night I gotta fight for my love. I'm gonna be fighting dudes every night,
right.
Because she set somebody off, or she arguing with somebody, girl, or something like that, and she's not necessarily doing that work, or even just aware of it. And being aware of it is half the battle. After you're aware of it, now it's time to apply it. And if you can't apply that, and I gotta put out your fires every night, like, yeah, like that drive home after that, I was just like, man, like, that really just happened. I was like really in disbelief, like, man, nothing like this ain't never happened, let alone on TV. So I never had this, I never had a moment like that with any of my the mothers of none of my children. We didn't do all that. So that was like a first, like this woman putting her hands on me and she means harm in a way, like she's trying to like really stake some type of control and authority over me in a very demeaning and very aggressive manner. I know we ain't supposed to say the word aggressive, but it was an aggressive manner. It was a moment.
You good.
But I'm just like, I can't do that. Like, this solidified everything. Exes, the dinner date. I didn't know she called Aisha dumb and dense. I didn't know all that, but that just shows like, you happy. You and I ain't right off into the sunset. I was the fun. He was the, quote unquote, right choice. Then it's no need. But I think, in my opinion, because she viewed Aisha as a rival, and that was clear in some of the deliberations they had, that I was just a casualty of war. I was a pawn in the show. I was a pawn on the allegiance thing or alliances. And then also I'm just, I think really it's probably my face. I mean, it's really Aisha's face on my face that she saw that she was upset about, So it really wasn't even me. I don't even think it really got to do with me. It was like, damn you, Aisha, how you gonna steal my connection and sit up and eat your risotto and like you weren't bothered? Like, how dare you? So I don't know.
How did you explain to your children about this scene that was going to come up? Did you know that it was going to be on the show? And did you say, you know what, you're going to see some things because you have a son, all right? And, and how did you explain? Because as a black man and dealing with women who may be aggressive, how do you explain this to your children? Look, this was going to happen, but I handled it well.
Yeah, I mean, just that, like, being aware of, being in the moment, being present in the moment, and being aware of what your triggers are, and practicing being unbothered. So that goes back to when you in the kindergarten and you at rec, and you got somebody calling you names and doing this to you. You don't have to respond. No response is a response, and you can walk away from something. Now, in this situation, this is a woman, son. We don't put our hands on women unless you are like she about to kill you at some point, and you really have to defend yourself. It ain't no excuse to put your hands on a woman. You are a male, she's a female, and any disagreements that you have, you can talk. So generally, when my son try to finesse me, he always talking this little baby voice. Daddy, can I have some cereal? Or he get the wine or whatever. Now I tell him like, hey, son, you gotta talk in your big boy voice and teach him how to communicate, and not in that manipulative way that kids just automatically are accustomed to doing, because that's just what kids do. So, teaching him like, look, it's a way to communicate. That's not how you communicate with somebody. So you shouldn't, ideally, you don't want to be on either side of that, but you may be on the side of someone poking the bear, and you need to practice being non-reactive. You have to practice being still and calm and thinking things through before you react. And that's really the thing. So like my son, when he comes to visit, we meditate. I have a meditate with me. I have my Tibet singing bowl. We sit down. So I try to teach him like, look, be calm, be present, be in the moment. You about to meditate? Yeah, you about to meditate. Come on. Light the incense. We present the whole thing. And, I let him light the incense and everything. So, so really to teach him like, hey, be still, be calm. And this would teach you to be how to react to situations. But at no point in time, you shouldn't be, I don't care how cool it look, what you see on YouTube, because kids nowadays got so much access to social media and YouTube and everything and videos. I don't care how cool it looks. You need to also be very, very, very non-reactive. And it's my daughter's like, it's a no-brainer. Don't go putting your hands on the man. That is toxic. And we don't want to go in there and yell at a man, demean a man, have a conversation. Same for my son. Just because you a male don't mean you can yell at somebody or try to bully somebody or take stuff. So I'm very aware, like when my son, is having interaction or playing with toys with somebody, if he's a little bigger, no, we ain't about to use our size. Let's talk it out and let's take turns and sharing toys and just small stuff like that. Planting them seeds in your kids so that way they grow, and you ain't got to worry about them being on a block somewhere or somewhere not handling the situation, because nowadays kids don't fight like they used to.
No,
they pull out guns. They pull out guns. So you can be a good, big, healthy boy. I didn't want to fight nobody growing up. I was a bigger kid. I played football. Guys told me, I ain't gonna fight you. I'm gonna shoot you. Okay, well, I knew that. Let me not put myself in a situation where I got to fight or beat somebody up, because I'm probably gonna trash him. But what does that prove? And you're gonna come back at me with a gun, and then being able to see the outcome before you actually engage into whatever that is. So son, if a woman gets in your face and she's yelling at you, don't put your hands on her, don't push her. Just remove yourself and walk away. Remove yourself from the situation. Take what we teach in our correction facility. If you're the target of aggression, remove yourself. Don't even stay in the scene. So in that situation, if I could have moved off of that balcony, but I couldn't. There was nowhere for me to go. If I could have walked and moved away, I would have just removed myself and just walked away, turned my back, look, and just moved away. So that's really just like, we don't do that. We don't lay hands on females. We don't lay hands on nobody, but especially a female. And we don't think that we are superior to them just because of our size and our strength that we have. We treat everybody as equal.
All right. So with all that, you actually found your love, right? all the drama you've been through, all the pointing in the face, all that. You actually found your love, and you found, as many of viewers and people in the chat say, your queen, Aisha. Did you know that moment when you guys were cooking in the kitchen, or at that retreat, or when you was rubbing on her booty, right? When did you knew it had to be coming up sooner or later, right? So you had to know the rubbing on the booty was coming up, right? So
she did say she wanted her booty rubbed. So hey, I made sure that.
So when did you realize that she was the one? Was it in the kitchen, or was it after the rubbing of the booty that you know what? Yeah. This is who I want to lead with.
You're gonna keep talking about that, huh?
It was really the kitchen. Physical attraction is easy, for the most part. Ideally, when we first see somebody, we are aesthetically, that's what pulls us in. Mm-hmm. So the energy that we have with the phone and then just being in person in the kitchen, it was like, you got to be able to do something other than just rub on a booty or be grown with a person. You got to be able to have, some other type of chemistry. Like, man, like we cook, like she cool to be around. Like we laugh, we having fun. Like that part. We had a point where we went to the pool and we was out there in the pool, we was swimming and everything. And all those moments was like, okay, I enjoy her energy and not just the physical attraction part, So that part, because you can have that physical attraction with somebody, but it's going to wear off. Can we cook together? Can we meditate together? Can we do other things? Can we hike together? Can I be open to doing some things you want to do and vice versa? So those moments that we had collectively, but ideally at the retreat, that moment when we was cooking, I was like, it just really it stood out more so than my other connections that I had, because we were actually doing something that I love doing and she doing, and we were just in sync. We were just in sync. I get busy in the kitchen. Okay, you get busy in the kitchen. Okay, that can go a lot of different ways, but I'm gonna keep my mind clean right now. But, right, I'm gonna go different ways. But we're gonna keep it PG right now because I'm just gonna know you. But the kitchen was really like a point where I was like, I like her. Like, okay, this phone to in person is working. Like, okay, she beautiful and all. Like, yeah, she's all that, but she cooking. Like, and the food was good. And she made me my own little special little vegan meal that I had to the side. I was like, okay. And me, I'm very independent, so I generally, cook. And so me having 3 different kids, 3 different women, I gotta be able to do something other than just take somebody out to eat. I know how to cook, so so me knowing that, I was like, oh, she can cook too. Okay, because a lot of women that I have met generally don't cook or don't know how to cook. So that's one of the arts that is lost in some women in dating. So they're like, well, you got Uber Eats and you got different things. So the fact that she can cook and she was so passionate about it, and this our connection in that moment, I was like, I don't watch you. You dangerous. You over here cooking too? Okay.
You fell in love with that vegan mac and cheese, huh?
That vegan mac and cheese, the little stir fry she made. I was like, okay, you showing all the way out. And just how effortlessly it came to her in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like she was sitting time thinking about different stuff. Like, it was like she just knew it. She wasn't looking at the phone. Okay, so add this and this and this. Like, she knew it. Like that grandma big mama cooking. Like, they don't need to measure the ingredients. They already know. So I was like, all right. So that moment was like, I really want to see where this goes. And then we had our date after the deliberations. And this is really what I thought she was about to send me home. We had a date at the pool when we had the blue dress, when I was telling her, like, be calm, come back to this moment with me. And she was talking that she had a blue dress on, I had on like a dark blue shirt. I thought she was about to send me home. I was like, it's probably time for me to go home. They're gonna send me, her to send me home. I was like, all right, it's whatever. I literally thought I was going home. So I was like, okay, I had fun. I enjoyed my time with her, but then it ended up being a date that we was like, let's see where this goes. And at that point in time, it let me know that I was a contender now. So her eyes was open to me being potentially somebody that she can finish this journey with. So I was like, all right, now I'm going back, massage. Now I'm thinking about the massage. Like, yeah, massage, cooking, phone conversations. All right, this has a lot of potential, and let's see where it goes. It was fairly new because we had made that in person, but we had a lot of potential. We had dates after that they didn't show. We had a day when I cooked for her.
All right.
She came over here and I got busy in the kitchen. Yeah, you hear that, Aisha? I got busy in the kitchen. I got busy. I cooked some oyster fried mushrooms. I cooked some Spanish rice. I made some Brussels sprouts for her and threw it down in the kitchen. So yeah, but they didn't show that. I wish they would have showed that because it was a lot. She learned a lot about me. So when we had our dates after that, a lot of our dates was very intentional, and our conversation was very intentional. It's like, what is going to look like after the lights go out? What is it going to look like? A couple months from now on? Is this just something that's you just doing just because it's on TV, or is it something that you're really interested in being with me? So let's really see, because you really have to ask at that point, you really got to ask these questions, because seeing how people was playing the game, it was like you need to be, very aware. So yeah, we had a good time. I cooked for her, got her some pictures. I wrote I wrote a poem for her. She wrote one for me, and we didn't know we did. We both did that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we didn't know. Like she read her poem for me, and she talked about how she met me and our phone conversations and the mansion mixer and everything about me that stood out. And then this was like over here in this side of the house. And then we went over by the fireplace, and she didn't know I was getting ready to rehearse. So I wrote like a 3 or 4 page letter. Boom. I spit it out, and I just broke down like boom, boom, what my intentions was, what it was like. I just broke it down to different sections of our connection and our journey. I gave her pictures because really that before the cooking scene, the car ride was another one. I was like, man, her energy. She came out with the black hair, and she would look. I was like, okay, like I felt kind of special in that moment. Like, I'm the first one to see this now. I picked it up, and it felt good. Like, man, like she all right. She holding my hand while we drive up, drooling on my arm. I'm just like, oh, it's so cute. She's just snoring. She probably in the chat lying, but she's in there snoring, drooling all. I was like, I'm driving one hand, arm soaked. They didn't get no rest last night.
Listen, I'm listening to you, and yeah, she in the chat. Listen, y'all are so cute, and what I like about it is I know how the show goes and how it's orchestrated and everything, but like you're letting us know, like behind the scenes, like you said, we had these conversations, and what we're seeing from you, which that's all I kept thinking when you were talking initially. I thought about when we talked to Aisha, and here we're talking to you, and how similar your thought patterns are, and your life, and the work you did. And I was like, it might have seemed like it came from left field for some people that were watching the show, but it makes sense. I'm like sitting here, I'm like, yeah. So I believe before y'all came to that retreat, the conversations y'all were having, you felt a little bit of that, like, oh man, we on the same page when it comes to that. Oh, we on the same page when it comes to this. And then you get to retreat, she cooked, I cooked, I'm handing her it. It's just started falling into place. Mm-hmm. And it's like, man. And I thought about even when we talked to Aisha about how did she end up on the show. And then you talk about how you ended up on the show, and just how it was like it was divinely orchestrated, because both of y'all, she said she put off her friend doing, when she was like, go on the show, and she was like, mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And here you saying, you told your friend, oh, I'm gonna do it. And look what happened. Man, this is, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So, you know, because the way you look at it, even now, you can still see the love and stuff is still because of conversation, that the smiles on your face, the laughing, the joking, you can still see that is in tune there. So I was going to ask, how, when the cameras were gone, you know, you committed to each other when I was there, how was it when the cameras were gone? Did you really recognize that the cameras were gone, or you just kept rolling as if everything, you know, we're friends, we get to know each other?
We kept just getting to know one another. It was really just like, let's continue. Like, by the time me and her, you know, connected, you got used to the cameras being there. Like, maybe like with the Manson mixture, you like, man, I'm on TV, I gotta watch what I say. But after a certain time, it desensitizes you for being like knowing that the cameras are there. So at that point, it's just like, now our conversations necessarily isn't interrupted, so to speak, or if there's a mic that go out, we ain't gotta break up our conversation or pause. So it was really just getting to know each other. Like, okay, well, now the cameras is there, now not here no more. This is what I like to do. I want to go over here and hike. I took it in the darkness one night, like we about to go hiking in the wilderness. So now we can do a lot of more stuff in a less controlled environment. We can go out on a picnic and do something. We ain't did it yet, but the summer about to come around. I like to bike. I like to get on trails. She about to hop on one of these bikes, and I got 2 bikes. We're gonna be on these bikes and we're gonna be on these trails. So doing more things to be more in tune and just get to know each other and just really just continue to build. And I mean, I would be, foolish to say that it hasn't been, easy. I mean, it's been some work. Like, we've had some tough conversations. We've cried together. We've, been upset, about certain things, and we sit there and we actually can talk through them. Or, I didn't like the way you handled this, or this made me feel, because we're still going to know each other. I mean, we're
Right.
6 months on the 22nd. I mean, that's 6 months that we've known since we chose each other at the island. So we're still learning each other. We're still learning how we communicate, so really we begin to know each more on a more intimate level now than we did. Because really on the show, a lot of it was surface level, a lot of it was in a controlled environment, and you all as the audience only got to see so much of it where we know everything. So now we continue to build on our foundation that we made in the journey and let it continue to carry us through. So it's just been a blessing and a pleasure just to really get to know the Aisha Finch and who she is and her story. And she shared things with me that she hasn't shared with other people. I've done the same thing. We've had conversations where we've like peel back layers, nice always say, scratch the surface and kept scratching. And that's one thing I can say. She holds me accountable when it comes to like how I feel and vice versa. Like, nah, this is she knows how to ask questions and to get like to the root of thing. And I know I do the same thing because that's how I am. Like, what's the root? Let's start at the root. Let's start the surface level stuff. Let's start at the root. And then we have those conversations. And then like, I am not like the most emotional guy, but I've had like some of the most emotional conversations with her. And it's like I be talking, I get choked up, like, why am I crying? Like, what? And I get mad, I get mad, like, and she just be looking at me. And she be like, that's right, because I'm pushing you. And then and vice versa. We have a conversation and she have a moment and she have a realization and something to click. So we are like, not also just learning about each other, but we're also learning about like things that we still have, traumas or things that we still have suppressed that we are still, because we're alike in a lot of ways as far as our philosophy and just getting to know each other. Like someone said, like she's like, I'm like the male version of her, she's like the female version of me in some ways, So it's interesting, and watching our journey, like looking back and being like, okay, we hit a tough spot, we here, so it's like laying down the foundation for what's to come next and just really like taking our time, because we don't want to be America's couples. We don't want to be. We want to be our own couple. So we have to date each other. We have to have those tough conversations. When I'm going through something, I need her to be there for me, and require some patience. When she's going through and having her moment, she's going to need some patience and some grace, and we got to be able to understand that and not just say, "Oh, throw the towel in. Oh, check out. Oh, this it was on camera anyway. It's on TV." Like, no, like we are two people that's actually trying to make this work and actually having a connection. So we just, two people trying to figure it out, just like any and everybody else. And I would say, worst case scenario, if it did not work, we knock on wood, something, we and her would still be able to walk away and be friends and still be able to grow. And it wouldn't be something where it's like, I hate you. No, I thank you for this, for me getting to know you. And I thank you for pushing me as a man and me pushing you as a woman, and we continue to grow. So that's something that a lot of people in different, relationships or situations, because if it works out, great. That's awesome. If it don't work out, it don't mean that you got to be spoiled rotten about it or some hatred, but you got to be able to have those mature conversations and be like, hey, this is working. All right, let's continue. This works. This feels good. Or this doesn't feel good. And, just being able to be on that same wavelength. But right now, she hasn't had a Valentine's Day in a while. So got some things planned for the nice young lady. Want to enjoy.
I think you guys just from you, the communication, I think it will work out because the way you guys open-minded and you understand, okay, we're going to have something. It's not a fairy tale, right? You understand that with different walks of life, we come from different homes, we got different dynamics and things work out. And again, and you working at your own pace. You're not letting anybody rush you to the altar, right? You're working at your own pace. Nobody says, "Oh man, y'all should be married. Y'all should be doing this." Now, she do want a ring, though. I want to make sure you get the size
right. You gotta have it. You gotta have a vision.
You got a vision, right? You make sure you got a size right and all that stuff. Right. While she drooling on your arm, you measure the finger or something like that. Whatever the case may be. But I'm just saying, all right. But not. But one thing that's cool, you guys always have it documented about how you met and how the relationship blossomed and how the relationship grew. And so I think that's where everybody was fascinated with you guys, because we, even as viewers, you can see the genuineness between both of you guys. Even I think the cast members could see the connection that you guys has as well. So, I think that's where everybody said, you know what, Dante, Aisha, I like them. You know what? They feel the energy. They feel that, you're funny. She's funny. Y'all work well together. And just because we work well together doesn't mean you're not going to have obstacles. But I guess it will take place, and and you would do it. So as we get ready to close this thing up, there's a couple more questions.
I got to say this. Go ahead. Aisha is entertaining me in this chat.
Get out the chat. Get out the chat.
I love it.
There was a question that you did not answer. Did you ever get the lingerie dinner?
I did not. I did not get my lingerie dinner. I want my lingerie dinner. Where's my lingerie dinner at? I'm waiting on my lingerie dinner. I'm gonna be patient though. I'm gonna be patient. I want my lingerie dinner. So you guys got it first. I have not got my lingerie dinner yet. Yeah, she probably in the chat saying something. I'm waiting on my lingerie dinner.
Hey, like old folks say, if you live long enough, it may just come.
Right. She go. She might get the Melvin breakfast this Valentine's Day. You never know. Melvin and baby boy.
That's what I'm about to say. In the kitchen.
In there.
Cooking the eggs.
Want some eggs?
I cooked breakfast for her. Like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, made her some breakfast. Went and made her some surprise breakfast.
Hey, would you do reality TV again? Not a relationship show. Would you do reality? I'm not, because you have someone, but would you do reality TV again?
I would. Definitely if it was in a space where I could, talk about my journey and teach or use my experience to teach other men, other people how to handle situations, how to look into themselves and be more self-aware and putting steps. I would definitely be open to doing another reality show and something that's going to help grow, help the community, grow and come out of this, funk that we in, and know how to, just treat people and have those conversations and not ghost people and just like, nah, like this ain't working, or I gotta let this situation go. This it's not for me, and then just be okay with being at peace with them not wanting you. And so, yeah, I would definitely do a show, reality show if it's something geared towards teaching people and making a positive impact in the communities.
And if your season was in a resort like Houston's season, do you think it would have been better?
I don't know. I think I would have had an opportunity to get to know people more. Like as far as dating and being with somebody, being around people's energy. I think me and Aisha would have hit it off earlier because we was able to be around each other, but yeah, I don't know how the other parts would have played as far as because that time away that we had, got you, because now when you leave, now you have time to sit and process and think. So that was valuable for a lot of us when you started to put pieces together. Like, yeah, she really really carrying me and trying to play me and put me off on her, or she really don't care about me. But I think the resort would have been better as far as connections with people, and again, and it may have you know neutralized the alliances that was made, because we would have been more around each other more. People couldn't go into different corners. It would have been no reason to have an outside date. It's so outside of the process, which a lot of us, including myself, had. I had a couple of dates on the outs, that wasn't recorded, that should have been. But looking back, I understand now how important that is, because it allows the audience to be able to see how it unfolds, and it doesn't change the dynamics that we have on camera to the next time. So that like made, even though they told us that, we still was like little bad kids that didn't want to listen, because I'm like, look, I'm trying to get to know this woman, and I need to make it happen. But I think the Houston day, the resort would have been better. That's actually what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like on a resort together, but I think it would have been better. But I only question because I don't know if things would have fell in place to how I met Aisha as far as the vetting process. But I think it would have definitely been very entertaining.
Got you. Close out. If you have anything to promote, man, you doing anything, let people catch you. Let them know how they can catch you on social media. And this is your opportunity to promote, talk about what you want to talk about. Go.
So you can find me on Instagram at conscious_godbody7. I have some projects under the works. I've been wanting to write a book for a long time because I got some stories. I got some books, and so I know my brother's been pushing me to write a book, and I'm going to do that. I don't necessarily have my own business. Like I said, I didn't come on the show to like promote anything other than myself. I will utilize this momentum and this time to talk to people and empower them about making decisions to get to know themselves and be self-aware and continuing to grow. So there'll be some things coming. I do have some business ventures that I've been had on the shelf for a long time. So I'm still determining on what I want to do with that. But when I do, it would definitely be on social media and probably within the next couple months or so. So I'm working on those things I'm excited about potentially. So stay tuned. Like conscious_godbody7 is where you guys can find me.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on, taking the time out of your busy schedule to entertain us.
And talk and let us see the side of you that we didn't see on the show.
We didn't see on the show that you are you're intelligent black man, which a lot of people need to see, and you're doing well for yourself, and you have a beautiful woman on your arm, and you maintain it, and you maintain it, and that's one of the things that TV needs to see in show, and you showed a lot. You show some fortitude, you show some strength, you show emotion, because some guys wouldn't have been able to do what you did, and you came out whole. And guess what? I mean, even in the midst of your season, while people was being mad, your season did have the most relationships, the most couples end up on the show.
Yeah.
Out of all the foolishness, this season had the most couples leave from Ready to Love. And so that's one of the things that we can take away from the season, take away from you guys. Wish you and Aisha the best, the best for everything that you guys have. And I hope you have a great Valentine's Day. Do what you do best. All right, because I feel that the massage table is somewhere in there. But
she might have to give me a massage after this Valentine's Day.
But man, we appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell notification. Make sure you follow Dante and Aisha on social media. Make sure you keep up with them in whatever endeavors they have out there and whatever
support, whatever it is.
Yes.
Support. Don't ask for no hookup. Don't ask for no freebie. Don't ask for anything. Go ahead and just support. Because whatever comes out, we'll buy, because we'll support. And that's what we do here at Jac and Glen. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for being in the chat. Thanks for everybody for being in the chat. Make sure you like it. Make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe. And ladies and gentlemen, have a good